What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Kinda Funny Screencast, your home for all of the movie, TV, and streaming service reviews you could possibly want here at Kinda Funny. I'm your host for today, Barrett Courtney, and I'll get to the rest of my beautiful panel in just a second, because I want to let you know that, of course, you can catch the Kinda Funny Screencast over on youtube.com/kindafunny, roosterteeth.com, and, of course, on podcast services around the globe when you search for Kinda Funny Screencast. You can check out the show at least usually once a week because there's so many things to review in the entertainment world, like the weekly Moon Knight reviews we've been doing that'll continue for the next few weeks. We recently reviewed Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and a buttload more, but we're not here to talk about those things today. Today, we are here to talk about the premiere of Season 6, Part 1 of Better Call Saul. And to do just that, I am joined today by everyone's favorite Tio, Andy Cortez.
Hey everybody, great morning. Holy cow. What a show last night. I can't wait to get into it because I thought the show was going to be like 4 hours long at one point. I was like, I don't want this to end. Yeah, it's great.
Definitely with the commercials, I was like looking at my watch of like, when is this going to end?
Yeah, I was very confused by the listings of it. It said like episode 1 and it was like 2.5 hours long. I was like, maybe they're just estimating, I don't know. And then by the time it ended around 2.5 hours, I was like, all right, time for episode 2. I was like, oh, that was it. Okay, goddamn. I really thought I was gonna get like a 4-hour extravaganza.
During the live segment, the first episode, you know, they did the credits for both episodes, so I don't even know when episode 1 ended and episode 2 began, but I've got guesses. Also joined with us is everyone's favorite lawyer turned con man, Roger Picorni. Roger, how you doing?
Whoa, I'm doing pretty good. They call me Slippin' Roger. You know what I mean? What's up?
That's what they call you on the streets of New York. And of course, rounding out the group is a special guest today, everybody's favorite muscle for hire, Jake Baldino. Jake, how you doing?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm a little disappointed. I thought this was for the Tom Cruise Mummy movie. I guess I missed that one. I'm sorry. I didn't get the memo.
I mean,
they're bringing it back in like 5 years, though. Don't worry about it.
Oh, they're gonna
Dark Universe. Let's get it.
Yeah, Dark Universe.
Oh man. Well, you know, the Dark Universe is so far away. But today I have some housekeeping for y'all to talk about, and it's about this series specifically. If you didn't know, the final season of Better Call Saul is releasing in 2 parts. Part 1 premiered last night with the first 2 episodes, and that'll continue weekly until May 23rd. Then the show will be taking about a month break with Part 2 premiering on July 11th, and then continuing weekly until the entire series finally wraps up on August 15th. And to get ahead of the big question I know on everybody's minds, no, we will not be doing weekly reviews of Better Call Saul, but we will be doing book-ended reviews for both parts. So today we're here to talk about the first 2 episodes, essentially give our impressions of the season so far, talk about questions we still have, theories and all that good stuff. And then the next time we'll be back is when part 1 is fully wrapped up the week of May 23rd, so we can talk about part 1 as a whole, still talk about the questions we still have and all that stuff. And then we'll do the same thing for part 2. We'll come in for the premiere of part 2, talk about our impressions, talk about our questions and theories, and then we'll be back for the series finale and talk about part 2 as a whole. I think it's safe to say all 4 of us are really passionate about this universe with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and stuff like that. So we wanted to talk about it, but I think we were also realistic about, you know, our busy schedules week to week and not being able to do this weekly. But we thought this would be a good compromise to still talk about the show passionately. Was that too confusing? Do you think everybody will understand that explanation, Roger Picorni? What do you think?
I'm sure there'll be a Reddit thread about it, but you know,
I zoned out like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, you know who definitely understood that explanation, Roger? Our Patreon producers. Wow. Molecule, Fargo, Brady, Pranksy, and Anonymous, who can all catch screencasts ad-free and live as it's being recorded over on patreon.com/kindafunny, which you can too if you support us at the silver tier or above. Speaking of ads, we're brought to you by Credit Karma, but we'll tell you about that later. Last night, everybody, we got both episode 1, Wine and Roses, directed by Michael Morris, and episode 2, Carrot and Stick, directed by the man himself, Vince Gilligan. Jake, I want to start with you. We're going straight into spoilers. Don't hold back. If we did a spoiler-free section of this, it would just be like, oh yeah, Vince Gilligan and, you know, company continue to be great. Acting continues to be great. I want to get into the meat. I want to get into the drama. What do you think of the premiere of these first 2 episodes of Better Call Saul Season 6?
I thought they were great. I thought it did exactly what this show does that I really like, where it doesn't necessarily pander to having to be spicy TV all the time. It's focused on the characters. It's focused on the drama. It didn't end with like a, oh, what's going to happen I can't believe that person might be dead. Like, none of that. It just literally was like, all right, here we are, guys. We're going to keep this going. And it's set up where things are headed. It definitely doubled down on a lot of the plot points I was hoping, specifically with Kim, and almost like whatever is going to go there. To me, it feels a little bit like a turn to the dark side. The cartel stuff is cooler. There's a little more action, a little bit more craziness. And it gives us good questions. The bookend stuff was here. It was a little different, but I'm digging it.
Roger, what about you?
I really loved it. It just made me so happy to turn on the TV and go to AMC and have something Better Call Saul to watch. You know what I mean? Like, that was just such a beautiful moment. And
Roger,
what's up?
one sec though. Did you not like also love that nostalgic feeling of whenever there's a new Vince Gilligan gold product out there that they're like, hey, also check out this other new show that's coming out. Like oh my gosh, the amount of times that I remember watching Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul where they're like, yo, but also during the commercials we got this new series. It's like,
*Halt and Catch Fire*.
Hey, wait, don't talk shit about *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Skinny Pete is in this other show. You remember Skinny Pete? He's now on this other show.
But no, it was just great to, and also all the Walking Dead stuff. I also did AMC Plus, which is just like, now they have the whole Walking Dead like channel that you can watch. I'm like, this is a lot. I didn't know about
too
this.
much.
That is a lot. But no, it was just great to be back in that world. Like, those first 2 episodes, I think, are just like they because when you're going into this, you're like, it's the final season, right? You're like, oh, anything can happen, and then you start like, oh wait, this is Better Call Saul. Like, it is not, it, as Jake said, like, it is not like this crazy moment of like just people are dying left and right. It's just this slow, gradual build towards something. And I love that I don't really know what that something is at all, even though it's a prequel show. Like, you would think that you would know. I pretty have much idea what's going on, but no, I kind of ended these last 2 episodes and I'm like, oh wow, I have no idea where they're going with this, and I kind of love that.
And that's what I love about like prequel stuff, and like how they can play around with that, especially Vince Gilligan and the crew there, right? Is Nick always talks about like prequels not having really any stakes, and I would kind of agree with that in like a plot sense, but there's still emotional stakes. I think that go into prequels and how you can give new context to things, and they have done that so well over the last how many years at this point, 6-7 years, whenever Better Call Saul actually started, and they still are even playing with that even in the first like shot and scene of the first episode, which I absolutely adored. Andy, what do you think about last night?
I've always hated that Nick Scarpino take, by the way, of like, I don't care about prequels because they don't.
I get where
fully
he's
have
coming
stakes.
from, but yeah, I do have.
I mean, like,
I do have counterpoints.
Here's the thing, like, I watched Avengers Endgame for the 20th time this weekend, and I still cried. Like, it still makes me feel something, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. I still feel tension in my heart. I still feel all of that. So, like, there's still a way to make the audience viewer feel things, regardless of whether you know that character is going to live anyway. Who cares, right? Like, if good storytelling will overcome that sort of the idea that you already know what happens to these people. But yeah, I loved both of these episodes. Obviously, we're just talking about episode 1 right now, but I hope to find somebody that loves me the way that Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould love a good, clever scheme. They, like, after rewatching the last 2 seasons and just thinking about seasons 1, 2, and 3 as well, and Breaking Bad as a whole, right? They are just, the writing is so smart. It's never ever really hit a point for me, maybe like once or twice over this whole 10-year, when did Breaking Bad start? 2013, I believe.
Breaking Bad ended in 2013. I think Saul started in 2015.
Like, I feel like over all of these years, there's rarely ever been one of these schemes where I go, I don't know about that. That doesn't seem too believable. And I think that's just a testament to not only the acting and the writing, but I think a lot of the tension that they set with like music and cinematography. They just do such a great job at building tension and making every moment feel like it could be that character's last, whether it's actual last moment of that character being alive or whether it's a moment of like, Jimmy's gonna get caught here. He's fucked here. Oh no, he said Lalo to the 2 people at the courthouse, like,
yeah.
Oh no, Jimmy, you can't be doing that. So like, I just think they do such a clever job of always keeping you on your toes, and just like Jake mentioned, it never feels cheap. And I think part of me was worried about going into this final season, and I'm always just worried of when will it ever start to feel old? Will it ever start to feel like they're just doing things for the sake of cheap thrills? And it never does, because this is one of the best shows ever made, and they just have a good head on their shoulders in terms of what good writing is. So yeah, I loved episode 1. I thought it was great. How about you, Barrett?
Yeah, I adored the first 2 episodes from last night. And yeah, it was one of those things I was quickly reminded in those first like 10 seconds of how well they're able to play with our expectations of things, right? The show opens with like the black and white shot of the ties falling down. Of course, the black and white scenes that we've seen throughout the series is future Saul Gene, who is in hiding after the events of Breaking Bad. And of course, like the last time we saw him, he kind of got made, and he seems to be dealing with it on his own from the taxi driver guy who kind of realized that he's actually Saul. And they knew that we had that question of like, what's he gonna do to deal with this, right? And to like just mess with us entirely with that black and white shot, and then slowly the colors start to fade in with the ties, and then you're in this like really big house. And like the questions running through my head, because knowing where season 5 left off, like where Kim and Saul want to like mess with Howard, right? I was like, is this Howard's house? And then like the realization when you go into the closet and you see Jimmy's old like director like outfit and stuff like that, you're like, oh, like this is Saul's house, like being like essentially like repoed or whatever after the events of Breaking Bad. And the emotional punches that they can give with just simple little items that mean a lot to character growth or obsessions, right? With the cap of the alcohol bottle that Kim has kept throughout almost the entire show, kind of representing like her addiction to scheming people and stuff like that. And
Lots of minoxidil as well. Shout out. Shout out for all of us hair loss people. Lots of minoxidil there. Love that. Love that touch.
Lots of Viagra as well. Shout out to all the people who need that as well. And so yeah, just in that one scene, I think that kind of encaptured just like how well they haven't missed a beat after telling stories in this universe for the last 14 years. It's really impressive. I don't honestly know where to start talking about the show itself. I just want to like shout out, just like I love Tony Dalton. He is so good as Lalo. I think this was the first show I ever really like saw him in anything. I don't know if he's in like a lot of like American production like stuff.
Primarily a lot of Mexican productions.
But he is fan-fucking-tastic. And like the first scene with him, like after him surviving the assassination attempt, right? And he's going to this couple's house, and he's just so good at being like really charming. Like he's just, he's dealing with like trying to figure out who was trying to kill him, right? And then he's just like innocently checking up on this couple and be like, oh, hey, like, how are you guys doing? Oh, you should shave your beard, but keep like the soul patch and stuff like that. And he's doing that and being charming, but in the back of your mind, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, what is he going to do here?
And the thing I love about that is that, like, for me at least, I was watching it and I was just like, oh, this feels tense. But then I was like, wait, this happens a lot in the show. You know what I mean? Where you feel like someone's gonna die. Probably nothing's gonna happen. He's probably chilling out, just wanting to relax. And then the scissors are coming. I'm like, oh fuck, they're doing it. Like, I love that now. Like, I feel like I'm like, okay, maybe I got it. Maybe I understand what Vince is going for. He's trying to trick us this time, but no, they tricked me again.
Andy Cortez.
I have a question for you all who are probably definitely better at paying attention and listening to context clues. How did the bodies dental match?
That's what I was going to ask too.
I think this was a question I had
the
for
dental work.
Yeah.
He had asked, he's like, how was the dentist? And like, how was you? Didn't he ask like something like, how was it? He like helped him pay for it because he's a man of the community and he's like doing the right thing. And he's like, hey, hi, how are you?
He's got
how
a
are you?
dentist
And then
who
like
can
it
help
shows
him
how
with that.
evil he really is. It was this plan all along as just like a backup.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Almost for like the entire 2 episodes, I was like, why do they all think that he's alive? And it was like in that moment of realization where, Gus is kind of smelling the BS, where he's like, Lalo's still like, Hector kind of gives it away to Gus, where he's like, I'm coming for you. And he knows that Lalo's alive, and they're able to like look at like, oh yeah, the dental work came back. And that was the moment where I was like, Oh, he killed everybody, went back, meticulously made it seem like he was dead, and then kind of like moved on. Because like the first kind of like moment you get of like the fallout from the shootout and stuff like that back at his house is from Nacho's perspective, where he calls like the other person on the other end of his phone, and they're like, "Yeah, he's dead." And I was like, what, why do you guys think that? And it was fascinating to kind of like see that from his perspective, and then kind of slowly learn with the rest of the characters of like how he was able to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you remember, they had that one dying dude on the ground, and Tony Dalton forced him to call and be like, tell them I'm dead. Tell them that it was success, that it was rough, obviously, but that you lost a lot of people, but that, you know, it was a success or whatever. I again, little clever schemes like that are just the things that always impress me. Like every episode is always just filled with such creativity, and it's the tiniest little touches. Like Jake, I forgot that he had dental work done. That's just a line that is thrown in there as definitely backup as a cover your ass for the writers, but it's so smart. And the moment that he gets those scissors, I'm like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna threaten them? What's going on here? And then immediately I'm flashed back to 50 seconds prior when he says, keep the mustache and the soul patch. It looks good on you. And I'm audibly in my room going, no, dude, wow, you're unhinged, man. Like, this guy is evil as shit. And I think like that first time that he's introduced in episode 10, I believe, of season 4, that was like a moment where I go, God damn, they picked the perfect person for this. And he's so sinister and so menacing. I loved everything about this episode. And then I think episode 2 got even better. But yeah, I'd like to also talk about the whole scheme with the golf course at that what's the word I'm looking for? The country club.
Country Club.
Because at the whole time I'm wondering, is this a botched plan? Did he mean? And of course, it's never a botched plan. Like, he always assumes that something will happen. I also want to shout out all of these characters' abilities to read other things while they're happening, because I'm like the most clueless. Just constantly things are running in my head, and it's so hard for me to pick up on clues. But like when Mike Ehrmantraut is sitting there and he's like, I can go pick up Nacho from the border. And then Tyrus just gives him a look and he goes, but you guys got a different plan, don't you? And it's just like, they're so smart. all these people
We would
pick
not
up
be able
on
to
them.
survive in this crowd, right? Like, we just be like,
I would never be able to pick up on somebody's facial cue to be like, oh shit. And for like Gus Fring to be like, he's alive, dog. And I'm like, how do you know, Gus Fring? You're so smart, dude. But yeah, this whole country club plot, I was very confused as to whether it was botched or not when he has what's his face be like, hey, I'm not anti-Semitic. What do you get the fuck out of here? You know, when they have that sort of brush.
I know.
I wasn't sure where they were going there, and I'm wondering, is this fucked already? No, he just needs to get to the restroom, and that's where it sort of picks up.
Yeah, that whole entire thing was so good. Jimmy just kind of playing into just messing with people, and I forget the guy's name that Kim used to work for. But yeah,
I mix up all their names, by the way.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like you were talking about, Roger, where it's like it's just like tense, and it's one of those scenes where like no one's gonna like die or anything, but you're just like, God, like I hate this, and it makes everything so awkward.
That has to be the first time in the show that he takes on the persona of being Jewish, right? Like it was so good. Like
I believe so. Like it's obviously not the first time he's called himself Goodman, but I think that's the first time that he's been like, wow, you're really doing this to me. Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's a really good, like, it's the writers planting seeds just as much as the characters are planting seeds. I think that's why it works so well, because like just the way the whole scheme rolled out, where at first it was him stumbling through it, then it turned out to be this like cocaine plant, where even that, when you see it go down, you go, oh, wow, that wasn't effective, because they both shrugged it off, right? And then you see the second part of his plan when he goes and talks to the two people at the tax loan trailer in the middle of nowhere and follow through with the whole cocaine thing. And you're like, oh, man. And it's like, you don't even know how much further that's going to go.
Yeah, it's like the death by 1,000 cuts almost. It's like the way that they're doing it.
I did think Cliff Main had a good kind of reaction By the way, Cliff Main is the who straight up I had to Google like.
Well,
These
he's the guy
characters
with
have been here.
alopecia from Arrested Development.
Yes,
is
these
how I
characters
think
have
of him.
been here for ages, and I always just forget who Clifford Main is and who the fuck that other guy is. But when we finally see Howard drive away, we get a really good reaction from Clifford Main being like, "Huh, was that really his or not?" Like they
Yeah.
do enough just to make the viewer think this is going to continue. This isn't just a moment to be shrugged off, but it's also not being blown out of proportion by any means.
Before we continue on with that, I just want to backtrack just a slightly little bit. I just love the moment of Kim throwing away Jimmy's coffee mug that's got the bullet hole in it, kind of like this representation of they think they've left that side behind of the whole business with the cartel and all this stuff. Like
He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. We don't need to think about it anymore. But little do they know. And then the other thing here, right, with them meeting up at the restaurant before they enact the plan, and Kim's kind of like helping out the high schooler kid and stuff like that. There's some great cinematography there when Saul like first sits down with some of like the smeared reflection that they have, and then just is something that I love, and this kind of conversation will carry over into episode 2 with the couple from the loan place. I forget exactly what it's called, but how Jimmy is kind of the core of the schemes, and he's the source of like their whole life together of scheming, but she pushes it to into a direction that he is never fully prepared for, which I always find interesting.
She's Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and he always associates her as like, you can't be a part of this life. You don't do this. I go talk to these people. You don't talk to these people. And it's interesting to see her kind of push that even further than I think Jimmy would even have the instinct to. Andy.
I also rewatched just kind of parts of the final episode from season 5, and there is that really small but subtle moment where he says, "You're not gonna be okay with this. You're not cool with this. Stop like kind of pushing this sort of life onto yourself." And she said, "Aren't I? Like, aren't I cool with it? Haven't you seen all the shit we've been doing? And like, I'm obviously still putting up with you. We got married so that we could have this marriage clause. Like, aren't I okay with it?" And he's kind of like, "Huh, shit, you're right. Like." But we have been doing shady shit, different levels, obviously, different levels of severity. But it's the way that she keeps wanting to push this Howard thing is like, and you see a little bit of pushback. You see enough pushback from Jimmy that makes it just all feel really tense. And you know that, like, even though Jimmy wants to get going with this plot, Jimmy really wants to plant that cocaine. He takes off his clothes in the. Like, he gets the text saying, like, you got to bounce. You got to leave the country club right now. They're on their way back. And he's like, no, I still got to fucking do this. You see the effort still there by Jimmy. I love that it's not played 100% like, oh, I don't know about this. They still do a great job of making Jimmy wanting to be this person who succeeds at these schemes. But there's still enough there that they're planting that, this is kind of weird that she's into this.
Yeah, and what do you guys interpret that as? Like, I interpreted it multiple times as like, okay, is he just like scared that like she's going down this rabbit hole with him and then he doesn't want her to have that? Or does he, especially with the going back to the tax scheme in the second episode, when she kind of takes that extremely dark turn of like, he wanted to give them the money and then she was just like, fuck this, I'm gonna ruin your life. And that like shook Jimmy. And
yeah.
It's super interesting because like I don't know how to take it yet in terms of why he's reacting that way.
I don't know. What do you think, Jake?
I see it becoming more of a thing, like him worrying more and more and starting to actively work towards this. I think it might tie in to the fact that like they are still dealing with the trauma of dealing with the cartels and how close they really did cut it. And now that they're past that, and it's like Kim is still on the playground where it's like you're the cool kid, and then some crazy kid comes and he's like, I'll jump off the thing from higher, and then it's like, whoa. So I think this is going to become like a main plot point, and I love it because Kim is my favorite character from the whole thing. I feel like there's some, like, I'm also not smart, but I feel like there's a
you also wouldn't survive in this universe.
yeah, this is good. We're good. I think there's like a think piece coming, something interesting to be said about the whole dynamic between the two of them and putting one person on like this moral pedestal where it's like, you're the good person. You don't want no part of this shit. Like, I feel like Jimmy is starting to learn, like, ooh, I should have jumped in more. I should have paid attention more. And hopefully now this brush with the cartel, maybe we're going to see a more active Jimmy, a more combative Jimmy.
Yeah.
And even I love the way that episode wraps up of her being like, you gave them the money, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, you fucking weak bitch, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and that was like really shocking to me, that one moment. Her calling the IRS, I didn't see as being like too over the line, because she knows what type of people they are. She knows that they are these kind of career criminals as well. Like, they've been doing shady shit all their lives, and he went to jail and he's still doing shady shit. So that's like her just putting them in their place, letting them know, like, hey, I could ruin this all for you if I want. All of that didn't seem too out of line. It wasn't until that moment where she said, you gave him the money, didn't you? That I was like, God damn, she's ruthless right now. And it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I don't love it for her, because I guess with each passing episode, you're getting to that moment where it's like, you know, when you have like a really old relative that you're like, when's it going to be? When are they going to pass?
Yeah.
And that's how it is with Kim, where I'm like,
when's Kim going over the line?
What's gonna be the moment that, why isn't she in Breaking Bad? Like, what's gonna be the thing that sends her off, either in a really bad way or hopefully in a good way? But man, it's just so nerve-wracking.
I want to talk
Talking about
more
that,
about episode 2 and all the questions and theories and themes that we have. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Credit Karma. Are you earning credit card rewards? Credit Karma can help you compare your reward options so you can find a card that fits your lifestyle, helping you earn miles or cash back for spending you're gonna do anyway. I've been using Credit Karma for years. It's such an easy way to just keep track of my credit score and make sure that everything is going fantastically with so many great features. Credit Karma uses your credit profile to show you offers that are tailored to your financial situation. Credit Karma partners with a wide range of card issuers, so you can be sure that you're exploring all sorts of options. Comparing cards on Credit Karma is 100% free, and it won't affect your credit score. And best of all, Credit Karma uses your credit data to show you your chances of approval before you even apply, helping you apply with more confidence. That is an awesome feature. Credit Karma, create your own karma. Ready to find the card for you? Head to Credit Karma and check out your personalized mix of offers today. Go to creditkarma.com or the Credit Karma app to find the card for you. That's creditkarma.com.
All right, Roger, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I had in the beginning of the first episode, I still had that weird fan theory in my heart. I'm like, what if she's in the background the entire time of Breaking Bad? Like, what if she's just at his house? You know what I mean? And then I just see, like, you just see nothing to do with Kim in that first. I'm like, oh fuck, something happened. But the talking about the whole scam, I also interpreted the way that she like kind of like threw those people under the bus of being like, you are bad people. But that's also not what Jimmy and what Saul ends up doing when he works with these people, right? Like he becomes one with this group of criminal. And it's kind of interesting because she's taking like the very vindictive side of things, while Saul ends up taking this very much like buddy side of things. So that's kind of where I'm seeing that split go, and I don't know where she ends up.
And it's perfect timing of that couple coming back. I don't think we've seen them since season 1 when that's when all that like went down, and they are like kind of the perfect foil for Kim and Jimmy and where they're at in their relationship, right? You see the husband kind of being like, knowing that this lawyer kind of fucked them over all the way back then, and it's like,
Hey, how are ya?"
man, like, how you doing? It's all like
Over.
buddy, where the wife is like, what are you doing? And it's a really, I thought it was perfect the way that, like, the second I saw her, I knew what they were gonna do with that, like thematically and kind of like showing where Jimmy and Kim are at this point. And I just absolutely loved that, where, the husband was the kind of source. He was the original idea of like, yeah, I'm gonna embezzle money from the city, right, and benefit off of that. But then it was the wife who, like, I remember the scene in season 1 where she's like, she grabs the money and she's like, no, and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of in a very different way, a very different life path. That's what Kim is kind of doing, right? Where, you know, Jimmy was the one who started it all, but she is the one who's going to push this further and further and further. And we'll have to see kind of like where that ends up with her. I also just want to point out, you know, they kind of deserved everything they got, especially when the wife is like, our children have to go to public school. And I was like, yeah, you fucking suck. You deserve everything that terrible that comes to you.
They're terrible people. They're all hypocritical. I think we should talk about Lalo and Nacho and that whole storyline, because I think that's so fascinating. We start off, one of the beginning scenes of episode 1 is Nacho obviously escaping and then being told by Tyrus, we got a spot set up for you. Go over there, turn off your cell phone, take your cell phone out. We'll have a spot for you to kind of chill for a while. And it all seems good until we kind of get that moment between Gus Fring and Mike Ehrmantraut with Tyrus in the room as well, where he's like, oh, shit, you all have something planned for him, don't you? And I not only love Mike's sort of looking out for Nacho. It reminds me just a lot of Walt looking out for Jesse, even though one character is not a fuck up and the other one definitely is. But I love sort of that he's taken to Nacho quite a bit of like, leave his dad alone. We got to save he deserves your respect. And Gus Fring being like, he has it. I don't give a fuck. He has my respect. Cool. We still got to kill him anyway. But I also want to point out just like at every moment, it's obviously a storytelling device and it's a way to get dialogue passed through, but it's still really cool to me of how much Fring appreciates Mike's opinions. And I feel like over the last several seasons, we've had several moments where news is given out, it's quiet for a second, and Mike goes, can I give my 2 cents?
Yep.
And Gus Fring's like, yeah, go for it, dude. Like he trusts his sort of his decision making, and we get that here where he's like, we got to go save the kid. He's like, I don't know about that.
And I like that, too, because we're not quite at the place yet where they're at in Breaking Bad, where I think Mike is his go-to guy to talk about things.
Right.
Where it's like when he gives his opinion, especially at the end of this, the episode 2, right, where like Tyrus is the one who's like, starts to like kind of like look at him and point the gun at him and stuff like that, where like Mike isn't quite the kind of number 2 yet. And I kind of love that, of how fascinating that dynamic is and how that will continue to grow over the course of this final season. But that was definitely a moment that stood out to me as well.
Was the switching out of the safe only done to leave that letter there with the phone number of the hotel?
Yeah.
Was that the only reason?
I think so yeah, they I think it was also to make sure that there was nothing tying him to Gus specifically as well.
Got it.
Okay.
That's
it's
smart.
most likely like just in case that he had anything that he kept, most likely. And then he also, like they transferred all of the stuff that he had in that safe, but then Mike also kept hidden the dad's fake identity card, right? Like he didn't want that to be in the new safe. So they transferred over that and the address that led them to the motel.
I love seeing the two ways that they broke into the safe. Like Gus's people, like they're so fucking, they're on it. They got the person, they're listening to it, and then the Salamancas just fucking ripping into it. Like it's just great to see those two.
How they handle things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They give Michael Mondo like so much material in this. Like they set him up for greatness so much just in these 2 episodes. Like just him being in fear and like hiding out with the phone. Like he's just such a good actor. Obviously everybody is in the show, but like he's on another level. And this whole show has been like his show in a lot of ways, I think. Like from him hiding and like when he first does the phone call and he's like afraid of like farmers just because he can't trust anybody with the cartel, to then when he's hiding in the truck just like down like that, and like it was so good, to him like hiding out in the hotel room. All of it was like really, really good. I could watch him all day. He also gets a dual wielding moment, which I think that's like the first dual wielding in Breaking Bad universe. Confirmed.
Big moment for us. Big moment for all of us. I loved that. I mean, I think that sequence is just, that is, Gilligan directing, knowing how to build that fear in the audience. I love obviously how smart these characters are, and I feel like watching the episode for me with subtitles is kind of like playing Elden Ring with messages, with player messages, because I saw the subtitle say air conditioner running, and I was like, oh, somebody's in that place. But I don't think I would have picked up on that had I not seen the subtitle.
Yeah.
But I like, again, that moment is just so smart, like just in terms of getting the story across that somebody's in there, and this could be your paranoia. This could just be something else. This could end up being nothing, and we're just kind of obviously seeing Nacho go through it and be super paranoid about anything and everything. But the moment of him just opening the door and looking through the window and seeing somebody cross into that little crack in the wood, your heart just sinks and you go, oh fuck, he's gonna get it, man. Somehow we're gonna see what happens, and just the way it's all set up. I will say I don't love him. Obviously, I love whenever the twins show up. Like, it's just always tense and super awesome.
God,
and
yeah.
you have two T-1000s just walking in the battlefield, always walking. Definitely like Mr. X style,
never
right?
never running.
Yeah,
we don't run.
Mr. Yeah. But that moment of him kind of facing off with them, shooting at them, then crashing. To me, I go, oh, well, he's done for. Like, that's it. He's
I
captured.
thought that was a little weird with like him crashing, like where he reverses first, and then like one of the cousins does like the come here, and it's like, are y'all gonna like stop a moving vehicle? Like, what do you think is gonna happen here? I just thought that was a moment where I was like, I don't feel like they would have let him go that easily. I feel like
I thought he was gonna just turn away.
That was.
I thought he was just gonna turn away and drive away, but we hear that he crashed and he got away somehow. He's still on the run, which I find super unbelievable. I didn't love that moment of it. I guess just the end result, really. But I think the way that it was sort of built up was really awesome.
I don't mind the end result. It was how I felt like they kind of put themselves into a corner of like how hard it would be for him to escape that situation, but I think that's another conversation. I do love in the in that firefight moment where the cousins are like alive, and you know shit is real when the cousins want you alive. The cousins who kill everybody want you alive.
Who just killed their homie for shooting at you, shooting at him. Like, they just shot their own homie, like, because they were shooting at him. They shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, that. I think initially when he crashes, I think to myself, oh, he's captured, and we're going to go through 8 episodes of a Jesse-like, I am captured and I am I'm going to be thrown in some like jail somewhere and just tortured and beaten down. And I was really like, I hope they didn't do that to Nacho, but luckily he did get away. I would love for him just to have not even face off and drive at them. Maybe just drive away. They shoot out the tire as he's way down the road, and he's able to escape that way. But I just find it unbelievable that they kind of let him get away there. But it makes sense with them always walking everywhere. They gotta get a little jogging, get a little hustle in.
It's those boots.
Hiking boots.
Yeah.
Roger, Jake, any moments that you want to shout out before I move on to some theories and quick hit questions?
I have a pretty big one. When Kim and Jimmy were eating dinner together, Jimmy was drinking out of a paper straw, and that doesn't seem right. Like, for the timeline,
bullshit.
right? Like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit for the timeline,
that's
right?
Immersion breaking.
Way more than the daughter being like older than she was in Breaking Bad. Than the little girl Kaylee or whatever.
God, he's such a. I just want to. That was one of my notes. Mike is such a fucking pushover for his family, and it's not even funny. I love it.
I get one thing I wanted to point out really quick in that sequence with Nacho that I just absolutely loved was the moment of calling Tyrus and being like, "I gotta leave, man. I gotta leave." And he's like, no, don't leave. And he hangs up. And then the other guy's phone rings. And you go, oh, my God, dude.
Talk about not surviving in that universe. I would never figure that out. I would never think about that in a million years.
I just want to throw out a shout out to the Saul house sequence in the beginning. I know we talked about it a little bit. But for me, I think it was a good way of like throwing a wrench into just like thinking about who Jimmy is and how he gets to be Saul. Because we had never seen how Saul Goodman went home in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And now we're getting a look at his home. And I just felt myself watching this like amazing sequence of all this like ridiculous bullshit of a dumb home. I'm sorry if anybody out there like that's your style.
It's so
but,
gaudy.
like,
It's just like his
it's
office.
so
Gaudy, but it's
insane.
expensive gaudy, you know?
But like, it's like, well, how much of this is really him? We've gotten to know Jimmy so much. How much of this is him, and how much of this is this Saul? Like, this is his actual living residence. Like, how deep does this go? And then when you tie that in with Kim kind of helping him even more come up with an identity, it's like you're starting to put things together, and you're like, oh my God, is he like living out this identity that she helped him craft? I don't. It gives me like the willies.
He kept on taking it further and further. Obviously, like she's the one who was like, we got to get a nice spot of American flags, this and that, and obviously he just kept on going with that to the point where like it's almost like a zombie. Like he's past that point of like he's definitely just stuck there. You know?
There's also the little moment where they're trying to come up with the scheme to like get a case to the alopecia man from Arrested Development, where he's kind of like reciting like a backstory that he's trying to come up with, and they're all like he's trying to come up with like essentially like a case for I forget, I'm blanking on the name, but those like fake scripts that he's coming up with sound like his fucking commercials in Breaking Bad, right? Where it's like the guy being like, I crashed my car and like blah blah blah, I better call Saul, you know? And it's just like little things like that, and she's helping out with that. She's really pushing him to be Saul, which I absolutely love. I got some theory questions for y'all. Questions. You know, it's been confirmed, I think as of 10 days ago, it's been confirmed that Walt and Jesse will return this season. In what context will we see their characters pop up? Roger.
They're just gonna be walking by. 2 seconds.
Just in the background.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. I don't know. I mean, I kind of hope that it isn't anything crazy. Like, I hope it's just kind of just like a little like I've seen this thrown around, like the idea that like, they kind of just see like a flyer and they're like, huh, it's weird. And they just walk by, like something simple. I don't want it to be a big scene or a big kind of reveal or anything like that. I just kind of want it to be just a little Easter egg tie thing.
Jake, what about you?
I'd like to see something like really silly, if anything, something that does not matter. I very much like leaving things like let it go. Like, it would be funny if we got to see like Teacher Walt, like original OG season 1 Walt, like trip on the curb in front of 7-Eleven or something. I don't know.
Andy?
I think the thing I'm most excited about is that like they alluded to them being in the show not being like the biggest surprise. Obviously, like they spoiled it for everybody.
Right.
But
yeah,
I think
feel like
after,
the fact that they straight up tweeted it out, they just wanted to get ahead of it because it was probably a minor thing.
I think after seeing them in El Camino, I've been kind of dreading it, but then I realized, oh, they don't have to put Walt in a really terrible bald cap this time. Like, he won't have a bald cap on where his
like
head looks. Yeah, his fucking head looked gigantic in El Camino. I hated that.
That was right.
But yeah, he'll actually have hair. Yeah, I hope it's like just a little silly cameo. I don't really know what you can do. It's obviously going to be. It seems like it's going to be pretty late into the season, so I don't know if anything can happen plot wise that's super important. We also just, I don't know. I keep on just assuming that this show's gonna end, and then maybe Breaking Bad starts like a week or 2 weeks later. But this could go through like the beginning of Breaking Bad. Like I guess I haven't really finalized that in my mind yet. But I hope it's something super unserious and just super silly.
I think
I also didn't realize this was more than 10 episodes.
Yeah, this will be the first season, I think, that's more than 10 episodes, which is weird for Better Call Saul, but not weird for Breaking Bad, right? I think most of those seasons were like 13 episodes. So, I think it's going to be something like maybe like a not in the post-credits, but like a post-credits like moment where it's them driving up to Better Call Saul's like office. I think in like season 2 where they're... like, I don't think it'll connect. I don't think they're going to, like, try to line up this story with, like, happening at the same time as, you know, all of this other stuff. I think it'll be, like, the story ends, and then we get, like, kind of, like, 2 years later or whatever. And it's them driving up to Saul's place to get him to represent Badger. And then it's, like, you see them for a second, and, like, that's it. And I think that'll be, like, it'll be just enough to get people to be, like, I want to rewatch Breaking Bad, kind of like that
Fuck yeah.
Rogue One moment, right at the
Yeah.
end, where like Leia gets the order, like Leia gets the plans for the Death Star, and then you're like, fuck, I want to watch A New Hope again. So
Yeah, we need to go big. We need to go Disney with this.
Yeah,
We gotta
exactly.
go super Disney, right?
Which is what
Like,
Vince
think
Gilligan
about
is
it. Like,
very
like,
well known
okay,
for
so
doing.
maybe. Yes, the only way that here we go. Let's flip all this. The only way that they can get back at Hamlin and get revenge, Jimmy and Kim figure out that they have to blackmail a pharmaceutical company, right? And they go into this whole elaborate Breaking Bad style plot where they figure everything out, right? And they're scheming and it's great. And then suddenly that actually intersects with the cartel and something that Mike has to do. Mike actually had to infiltrate there because they needed to get something to really kickstart the production behind Los Pollos Hermanos and that whole drug thing, right? So
Perfect.
then you finally see these two plots coalesce, and then there's a heist, and they have to steal a pathogen, right, from the pharmaceutical company. And there's this big chase, and Jimmy's driving, and like disaster happens. Kim dies in a car accident, and then that's how you know, and that answers everything. And then, oops, suddenly they drop the biohazard material.
Guess who's there?
And where did I drop it? 308 Negro Arroyo Lane. And it's a pathogen of cancer. And then that gives what cancer? And then that's Breaking Bad.
Oh my god.
That's it.
We weaponized
there's your
cancer.
show.
Shit.
Another theory question that I had for y'all, right? Like, the part 1, part 2 of this final season, very reminiscent of the final season of Breaking Bad, right? Where, we got the first 6 episodes, waited an entire year for Hank Schrader to get off the toilet, realizing that Heisenberg is Walter White. And then we got the final 7 episodes or whatever. And then we're doing the kind of same thing here. We're not waiting a year. We're just waiting a month in between breaks. I'm sure there's production reasons behind that. But I do kind of wonder if there is almost a storytelling reason for that. The show itself has had great like cliffhanger moments, like Chuck setting himself on fire. Just like last season, Lalo surviving his assassination attempt. Jimmy registering to be Saul Goodman when he returns to being a lawyer. I don't know if any of those have reached the height of Hank Schrader sitting on the toilet and realizing that Heisenberg is Walter White. Do we think we're going to get that level of cliffhanger for the end of part 1 that'll make us stew for a month before part 2 starts? I was thinking about this last night of like, did Vince and Peter like kind of want us to like wait on a moment,
I think so. I think every episode in a way has almost every episode has ended in a way that makes you go, oh damn, what the hell's going to happen next? And whether it's something major, whether it's again Lalo looking at the dead old lady at his compound, and was that his mom? I don't even remember the relationships there, but just like walking by that and going like, holy shit, what's Lalo up to? All the way to the most minor things where it's just, here's a hey, by the way, here's just a little line of dialogue. Just fucking sit on that for a week, and you go, oh my god, what does that mean for X and X's relationship? So yeah, I definitely think there will be a pretty big major moment. Also, just wanted to call out, was it Lalo following them when they left the tax place?
Yeah, that's the question I had, is who's following them when they drive off at the end of episode 2? Because Lalo decided to stay down in Mexico. I don't know if he's come back yet. Car is kind of familiar, but I forget if that's his car or if he.
I thought it was either Mike's or Lalo's.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I thought maybe it was Mike's because maybe now. I think Mike in his head is knowing this whole Nacho situation and is maybe going to pursue Lalo or pursue Saul for some further for some future sort of legal help, or it's Lalo going after him. But I do think Lalo's still in Mexico.
We do have to remember, if like the very first episode with Saul in Breaking Bad, he does both mention Nacho and Lalo by name. So as far as he believes, by season 2 of Breaking Bad, both of those people are still alive. So I do think that he's gonna get caught up in whatever stuff that they're going back and forth on. Whatever he helped Nacho with, I'm interested to find out. And because he thinks that Walt and Jesse are people sent by Lalo, so that'll be interesting to see how that all comes to fruition. I got some quick hit questions, and I just want a yes or no from all of you for some of these. because we gotta talk about some. There's some things that we can kind of smell in the air of like, this is probably the way this is gonna go. This is probably the way this is not gonna go. I'm gonna start with Andy on this one. Will Nacho be dead by the end of the series?
Yes.
Jake.
No.
Roger.
No.
I also say no. Will Kim be dead by the end of the series? Roger.
No.
Jake.
Green Goblin style. Now choose. Yes.
It's a bus of kids.
Andy.
No.
Yeah, I also think no. Does Gene, future Saul in the black and white kind of post Breaking Bad stuff, die by the end of this series? Or is caught by the end of this series? Jake.
Oh, man. Die. I'd rather see him die.
Roger.
I think he's gonna get caught.
Andy.
I say no, only
Tyler.
because having Walt die in Breaking Bad, I think is like, I don't know if you could do the same thing twice and maybe have the same impact.
Yeah, I think I'm with Roger. I think he gets caught because one ending with Breaking Bad, the main guy dies. El Camino, the main guy escapes, and I think with this one, it's going to be a different outcome.
And I could just see Saul just in prison, just telling everybody his wacky stories, just telling everybody everything he's done. Just
Handlebar mustache.
I also think about that episode where he calls and tries to get the piece for the vacuum part, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, again? How hot is it? Is it really hot?
Really
I got
hot.
made. And then he hangs up and he's like,
Never
actually,
mind.
you know what? I'm gonna solve this myself. I'm gonna figure this out myself. So I wonder if he is successful in that. God damn, this show's so good.
So good. The last one I have is Lalo pretty much has to die, I think. Who kills him? Roger.
Saul.
Andy.
I think Nacho kills him as he's about to die.
Jake.
Howard.
Whoa.
Howard
wow.
Hamlin?
Oh.
Great ices him in the street.
I love it.
Sniper.
I love it. Such a turd. That's how they discredit him as a lawyer. They get him to kill Lalo. Two birds with
That's
one
it.
stone.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Gus Fring himself. But that's I don't know how or why, but I think I have a feeling it's going to be Gus himself because it's rare we get to see his hands dirty. I think, and so I would like to finally see that out of him. Sure, we get.
Who
to
do we
see-
think's gonna be the king of Westeros?
Ooh, I think Kim takes it all. I think Kim takes it all.
Gotcha. Yeah. The eye that sees all. The Raven, three-eyed Raven.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody joined with us today. Thank you so much for listening to us talk about the first 2 episodes of Better Call Saul Season 6, Part 1, and all that stuff. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Leave your theories and all that good stuff. I want to read through them. Maybe bring some of them back for when we return, when Part 1 wraps up in May, and kind of like talk about like what we predicted, what we got wrong, all that good stuff. Andy, Roger, thank you to Jabronis for joining me today. Jake, thank you for being such a special guest on this very special episode of Screencast.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to the KindaFunny folks for having me. This is fun. It's been a long time coming.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on the day at Game Ranks doing the Before You Buy videos, but by night, I'm on social media at Jake Baldino and on my other YouTube channel, Jake Baldino, where I'm cooking on a video about Superman games right now and why we need another one.
And it's all because Superman 64 was a really good game, and they should follow up on it. Is what I hear from
Yes, Superman 64 too. Superman 65.
Well, thank you. Thanks to you three for joining us today. I'm excited to come back in May to talk about all of Part 1, get all the juicy details and more of the theories and stuff like that. Again, you can catch the KindaFunny Screencast on youtube.com/KindaFunny, roosterteeth.com, and on podcast services around the globe. We'll come back at you later this week with another Moon Knight review. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody joined with us, you better call Saul.